Shocking interview. Jamie Dornan confirms he would never sacrifice his family for Dakota. On the set of The Tonight with Jimmy Fallon, bright lights shone down on the U-shaped stage, where the audience sat in long rows, holding hands eagerly. The familiar theme song played. Jimmy stepped out to applause, a bright smile on his face. Everyone, welcome back to Tonight. And tonight we have a special guest, director, actor, husband, father, Jamie Dornan. Jimmy introduced, cheered by the cheers of the audience. He paused, pulled the microphone to his lips, and continued, he just finished promoting his new movie, and of course I couldn't miss him. Jamie, come on. Jamie appeared from the back of the stage, stepping up into the camera flashes, a slightly shy but warm smile on his face. He wore a smart black suit, his slightly messy brown hair fluttering, his eyes sparkling when they met the light. He greeted Jimmy and the audience, then sat side by side in the regular audience seats. Jimmy raises his hand and says, "Hi Jamie, it's great to have you back. You made the audience laugh last time you played 50 Accents of Grey with me, remember?" The show once featured Jamie and Jimmy reciting lines from 50 Shades of Grey in a variety of accents, from Scottish to Russian to County Cork, which made the audience laugh. The Rap, +2, NBC 10 Philadelphia, +2, Jamie laughs, I remember, but tonight I promise to be more serious, or at least try to be serious. Jimmy nods, great, let's get started. The audience applauds. Point 2. Entering the topic, rumors, responsibility, and family. Jimmy started with a curious smile. Jamie, there have been a lot of rumors recently about you and Dakota Johnson. The press reported that at one point you were hesitant between your career and your relationship, and some even said that you were willing to trade your feelings for her to maintain your image, to maintain your family. What do you think about that? Jamie paused, his eyes slightly sad. After a few seconds of silence, he opened his mouth. First, I want to confirm that I understand the press, understand public opinion. My job is to be a public figure, and sometimes people want to look at love stories to make headlines bigger than the truth. But if there is anything I believe in, it is, love and family are never things to be traded. Jimmy nodded slightly. Yes, but what exactly do you mean? What is trade here? Jamie chuckled, looking at Jimmy with sincere eyes. I mean, I was faced with a choice. If I wanted to keep my image always perfect, always flawless, maybe people would advise me to limit sharing about my family, avoid appearing with Dakota Johnson, avoid people saying that the relationship affected my career. But I don't accept that. I refuse to let my career determine my value over the most important things in life. Jimmy knocked on the table. That sounds strong. But have there been moments like that, when you really felt cornered? Jamie took a deep breath, then told a fictional story. Yes. One night, I got a call from my manager. She said that if I showed up in public with Dakota at the premiere of my new movie, there might be some press scrutiny. People would ask, "Are you emotionally affected?" Or, "Are you doing this for her?" I remember my heart pounding. In that moment, I felt pressured to bow to the safety advice, or to stand up and defend what I believed. I chose to stand up. Jimmy was lost in Jamie's eyes, listening. The audience was silent. Jamie continued, I showed up with Dakota that night. As we walked down the red carpet, someone whispered, "Be careful not to get asked about your family." But I smiled, walked her down the aisle, bowed, hugged her tight for the cameras. And I said to myself, if people want to write about what I refuse to say, I'll let them see me live. Because if I ever trade my family, I'll trade myself. Jimmy nodded, a brave act. The audience started clapping. Doubts, whispers, when work and love collide. Jimmy continues, have you ever felt like your relationship with Dakota has become a public burden? That people are looking at her as part of a PR story, instead of seeing her as an individual. Jamie looks down at the table, then looks up. I believe that any of us who are famous will feel the pressure to be a role model. With Dakota, I feel the injustice that she, alone, has to bear the prying eyes, the comparisons, the comments. Many times she said to me, "Honey, if we ever break up, will they say I'm hurting your career?" I hold her hand and say, "No one has the right to put that on me." Jimmy gently puts his hand on Jamie's shoulder. Yes, it is an invisible burden. Jamie continued, "There were times when I wondered, if I had been quieter, kept the relationship in the shadows, appeared less with her, would things have been better? But then I remembered what my father once said, you can be a star, but if that star is lonely and indifferent to the person you love, then you are not worthy of being called a human being." I have never forgotten that. Jimmy smiled slightly. "You always talk about your family a lot, your wife, your 3 little girls. Do they ever worry that the media will disrupt your home with rumors?" Jamie nodded. "They worry. I don't deny that. My wife, in the fictional story I'm telling tonight, has said many times that she's afraid that her children will grow up seeing their parents being scrutinized, being put in situations they shouldn't be in." I told her, "Trust me. If there's ever a time when people say Dad traded his family for his mistress, that's fake news." Jimmy asked, "What do you hope people understand about you as a man, a husband, a father?" Jamie looked intently. "I hope they understand that, in this world, there are many things worth fighting for, fame, money, roles, but nothing is more worth fighting for than love, faith, family bonds. If one day I can't protect that, then I've failed." The audience fell silent, the lights dimmed, and only Jimmy and Jamie remained in the middle of the stage. 4. Along with the tough questions, social media, public opinion, and the role of public figures. Jimmy changes direction. The media, social media, we all know it's a flat world, where rumors spread quickly, where people can distort things with just one status line. "How do you keep your family private?" Jamie smiles solemnly. "I've learned to shake my head. There was a time when I saw an article titled, 'Jamie Dornan puts family after Dakota.' I just looked at my kids playing in the yard, closed my eyes, and thought, sorry, but that writer has never seen us together in sleepless nights, never heard my wife smile when she said, 'Daddy.' I don't argue with every article. I let everyday moments counteract rumors." Jimmy nods. "So what do you expect from the audience, from the fans?" Jamie replied, "I just want them to see the truth in the ordinary. When I post a picture of my family sitting down to dinner, when I post a video of my little girl singing in the living room, that's the real me, not a staged version of me that's made to look good in the media. If people just see a retouched image or a sensational headline, it takes away from the humanity." Jimmy looked at his watch. The interview was nearing its end. He asked the final question, "Jamie, if there was one message you wanted to send to your fans, to those who believe you've traded up, what would it be?" Jamie looked straight into the camera, his voice firm. "I want to say this. I would never trade my family for anyone, not even Dakota Johnson, if I thought so. I love my wife, I love my children, and anything else in my life, if it harms my family, is not worth keeping. Love is not a commodity to be bought, it is something to be kept. If I had to choose between a brilliant career and losing my family, or a quiet life with the people I love, I'd choose quiet, choose family." The audience burst into applause. Jimmy stood up, patted Jamie on the shoulder. "Jamie Dornan, a man I truly respect. Thank you for coming here tonight." Jamie stood up, bowed to the audience, a gentle smile on his lips. He walked briskly toward the wings. Behind him was a long applause. The lights shone on his back, as if painting an image that was both strong and gentle. 5. Backstage. Lights and whispers. When the cameras stopped rolling, the lights in the backstage dimmed. Jamie sat in the area behind the stage, where the guests were resting. The writer, walked over, gently. "Excuse me, can you give me a few minutes?" Jamie glanced at his watch, then nodded. "Yes, okay." We sat across from each other in the dimly lit waiting room, only the sound of the camera cleaning in the distance. "Why did you choose to say this tonight?" I asked. Jamie clasped his hands, his face slightly worried, "Because sometimes people forget that artists are people too. They think we have no fear, no love, no hormone. I want to make it clear once, just once, that rumors can't last forever when people look at the facts." "I understand," I said, "and if Dakota Johnson were here, what application would she reflect if she heard that?" Jamie smiled sadly. "I think she would smile slightly, put her arm around my shoulder and say, 'You don't have to say it, I know it.'" We had moments of silence, just looking at each other, letting the rest of the world blow away. We were silent for a few moments, recovering. He looked out the window at the still red stage lights. "This story is just a small corner," he said, "but I believe if you speak from the heart, people will listen more." I nodded, feeling an important feeling rising in me. Jamie stood up, stretching gently. "I have to go home to my family now." "Thanks for the conversation." I shook his hand, the flash increasing as he walked out the door, leaving behind the strong, yet loving figure of the artist.